Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. The Brian Craig Show is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you're in the state of Florida and you need roof replacement or repair, Tom Laporta can help. Online at laportaroofing.com. Okay, we got a lot to cover today, and this is good stuff. I got a call on Friday on the radio show. And if you guys watch me on my YouTube channel, which you should, Brian Craig Show on YouTube, you may have heard this call. You know, liberals are just the few that are left of the Never Trumpers are really coming unglued. Mm-hmm. And they bring up the most bizarre things. One of the dumbest is egg prices. They for some reason, they think they got Trump. Trump's been president for a week and a half. He can't come in and order everyone to lower their food prices. I went to the grocery store today, and it's the first time I've been in the grocery store to buy anything for a long time. Okay, because we Kathy and I do our grocery shopping on Instacart, and I know I'm going to hear from people that's more expensive. It's not. They charge you a little bit more, but you buy less. You only buy what's on the list. You know.
Well, I'm disabled. I mean, I have to do
that
it.
too.
If I wasn't disabled, I would be happy to go grocery shopping, but you're too busy and you always screw up the list.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many arguments we got into because Brian would forget 2 or 3 things every week.
If I go to the grocery store, on top of the list and what I forget on the list, I'm going to add all kinds of things. I'm going to add Twizzlers. I'm going to add
have to justify
things.
It's a lot of people do it.
What I'm not justifying it. What I'm telling people is if everyone used Instacart, most people would save money because you don't buy anything extra.
When you go to our grocery store now, they have a whole front full of refrigerators, huge commercial refrigerators just for Instacart. That's how many people use it now. They've removed all of the front stuff, and now all it is these huge freezers and refrigerators because the only people that shop there now are people at on Instacart.
And
because of COVID, I guess.
The prices are insane. The reason I went to the grocery store is I had a craving for a steak. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy a steak and I'm gonna cook it in the air fryer. I didn't buy a steak. I bought ground beef. Okay. The steaks were so expensive. I could go to a restaurant. Food
is expensive.
I could go to a restaurant and have a professionally cooked steak that's going to taste a lot better than how I could make it for the same. Really, I could. It maybe even less. It was so much.
Oh, everything is double what it was before Biden.
So what'll happen, the prices will come down, but it's going to take time. I've already noticed gas prices coming down. So when Trump starts bringing gas prices down, they're already coming down. Mm-hmm. Things will eventually, so that, it's very difficult to lower prices. And you can't just, but anyway, they got all these stupid things. The dumbest is the eggs, okay?
They got nothing on the guy. Everything he's doing is superb. Yeah. And, this is the pathetic stuff they're going after.
And the other thing is what this guy called me about on the radio Friday. And this was so stupid. This is about pardoning the January 6th prisoners that assaulted police officers. Now, first of all, since when do Democrats support the police? They're
defunding the police.
The whole liberal movement forever has been about physically attacking the police, right?
And defunding them.
Yeah, and now, the defunding. So now all of a sudden, the Democrats are the defender of police. It's insane to me. It's so stupid when they say it. It doesn't even make sense. I don't even know how the words come out of their mouth. But I told the guy this, and he didn't want to hear it, so he started barking at me, So, but I told him this. I said, listen, I'm against anyone getting assaulted, okay? Police, civilian, anyone. I am a nonviolent guy. However, the people that were pardoned, they either already did their time, right? Or in violation of the constitutional guarantee to a speedy trial, they've been sitting in prison for 4 or 5 years, and whatever the time they've served in jail is at least equivalent and probably even over the time you would spend for any type of assault. And you were just handing me this, Kathy, in the state of Florida where we live. This is in Florida. Jail time for assaulting a police officer depends on the type of assault, okay? But no one was No one was killed except Ashley Babbitt by a police officer.
Yeah, and nothing happened to him.
The minimum sentence for aggravated assault on a police officer in Florida is 3 years. These guys, some have 4 or 5 years in prison. And if Kamala would have won, these guys would have been in prison for life. They were going to be lifelong political prisoners. So he didn't say, okay, you assaulted cops, you're not no punishment. These guys have either done time already, made a plea deal, right, and been punished, or they've been sitting in prison for years, okay? So they've already been punished enough for that crime, all right? And
plus, the J6 was kind of an entrapment scenario.
Exactly.
There was entrapment involved.
Yes.
I mean, let's be honest. There's video of the cops letting people in, walking them through, moving the gates.
Yeah.
They allowed them in the building.
Yeah.
So I'm not justifying any violence, like Brian said, or anything. But when you allow people into a building and stand there while they're walking around, I mean, they put people in jail. There was a story about a woman here locally, a lot of people from Florida, and she had an ankle bracelet on. Mm-hmm. And they did a story on her. She cut off her ankle bracelet last week. And they showed the video. She was literally walking through the building, did nothing else wrong. And she's been on house arrest for 4 years. And she said she still doesn't have a trial, did not have a trial set. And she said she had a good lawyer and they kept putting the trial off because she said, I knew once Trump won, I'd be pardoned. And that's what happened. And she said, but if I didn't postpone it, I'd be in jail just for walking through the building.
Yeah. So what so these talking points they have are just ridiculous, okay? And with the Tulsi Gabbard hearing this week, one of the senators, I can't remember which senator it was one of the Republicans because it was a good point, but one of the Republican senators said that because the way these Democrats were reacting in all these hearings, the Democrats don't realize that the country has gone through a turning point of change in its attitude. And when it comes to politics, this is what's happened to the Democrats is where the Republicans were in the 90s, okay? They've lost touch with the pulse of the American people. They don't and some people say, well, they don't care. They do care. They may not care as much as you think they should, but they do care because they still have to get elected, right? The Democrat Party has lost touch with the pulse of the American people. Look right now, Kathy. They're looking to elect a new leader of the DNC, and David Hogg from Parkland, he's one of the top contenders.
Oh, let it happen.
I hope they make him the chairman. I hope they make him the chairman.
They're never going to learn. And I've seen tweets all week how they're going to run Kamala again. They want to run her.
Crazy.
They really think she can win. I mean, it's really got to be weird to live in that kind of a bubble of delusion. I just don't understand it at all. Who would, in their right mind, would ever think this woman, she'll be worse in 4 years than she is now? You think she's going to get her shit together in the next 4 years? No.
She hasn't done it in 60 years. She's 60 years old. She hasn't gotten it together.
This woman, I mean, I can't imagine. They really need to regroup, and they won't because I just read an article in the New York Post the other day. This guy was a lifelong Democrat. He's a journalist, and he said that he switched parties and voted for Trump because of the trans agenda. He said it's too radical. They should not be doing surgeries and putting hormones in kids. And he said that was it for me. That really was an important, and even Trump said the other day that he thinks that was the issue one of the issues that really tipped the scales for him. He said nobody in their right mind thinks this is a good idea, even people on the left. That's what switched Elon. So until they let go of that agenda, they're never going to win. They have to let that agenda go, or that's never going to. And I don't think they're going to do it, Brian. I really don't think. I think they're ensconced with that group, and Democrats can never admit they're wrong. When have you ever seen the Democratic Party come out and admit that they're wrong, or they did ever, or regroup, or change tactic, Kathy, or anything?
If you look at the Democrats,
you can't help it.
You look at the Democrats right now. They all voted. The Democrats, well, I mean, they were against the Lake and Riley Act, which is
incredible
a law that I don't need to tell you. You know what it is. I mean, who's against that?
Lunatics.
In the Friday press briefing, these reporters are barking at Caroline Leavitt because they're opposed to Donald Trump putting a 10% tariff on China to try to get them to stop sending the fentanyl poison that's killing people every day in America.
Crazy.
So, I mean, who would it be against putting pressure on China to stop it? Democrats.
People that hate America. And that's what Trump has said. He said, why would you be opposed to these things unless you hate our country?
It makes no sense. And, here's another one. Chevron has just officially announced that they are recognizing the Gulf of America. And people don't realize this about the Gulf, okay? You may be able to find a map of this online. During hurricane season, because we watch the hurricane news because we're in Florida. During hurricane season, you see this sometimes like on the Weather Channel. Mm-hmm. When hurricanes go through the Gulf, they'll show you a radar showing you all of the oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. The number and these oil rigs, I don't know how it works, but they move and they can move all over the world. I don't know if they're like barges. I don't know. But I don't know the number of oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico.
They probably have a huge bunch of anchors that they can pull up.
Well, they move them with ships.
They can move, yeah, right.
But when they show the radar image of the Gulf of America, got to get used to saying that, right? And they show the oil rigs, and this is not an exaggeration, there are so many oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, you could almost hop, skip, and jump. I said Mexico. Hey, listen, it's been that for a long time. You could almost hop, skip, and jump across the Gulf of America from Florida to Mexico. Mm-hmm. There are so many, Kathy. I wouldn't be surprised if you could take a small boat, like a 15-foot boat, and go from rig to rig.
If you look at the Gulf of America, it mostly is an American body of water. I mean, how many states you have? Texas, Alabama, Florida,
a whole bunch of whatever,
Louisiana, all those states.
It's ours.
It's a body of water that is ours. If you look at it geographically, it should be named that.
Yeah, and these. So for Chevron to come out and say it's officially the Gulf of America, they have a ton of oil rigs in the Gulf of America. Okay, so that's a big deal. Yes. I'm not seeing the Google Maps change or the iMaps yet, but Google said they will, and I'm sure Tim Cook will change it. And the Democrats in the media are opposed to that. But why? Well, they're opposed to anything Trump wants to do. But why would you be opposed? And America is the perfect name for the Gulf. It's not the Gulf of the United States of America. It's the Gulf of America, and the whole new world is America. These are the Americas, North and South America, and the Caribbean.
Yeah, in fact, Mexico is considered part of North America.
Part of the Americas.
Yeah, it's all part of the Americas.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's no big deal.
The Democrats, listen, they did that jump the shark moment when they got involved in this transgendered sports stuff. Okay. And you're right, Kathy. That was the beginning of the end for them. And what's happened, and we don't want the Democrats to correct. I mean, if David Hogg becomes the head of the DNC, that's a perfect world for us because he's an idiot. Yeah. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he's very entitled, and he's got all kinds of issues.
And he's very unlikable.
And he loves to use the F word.
Yeah, he's very unlikable and immature, and
and full of himself.
I'd match him against Barron any day.
Exactly.
And Barron's only 18, 19.
Yeah, exactly.
He can outsmart, outclass him anytime. I mean, look at Barron. Here he is. He's 19 years old, 18, whatever. He's a young man. He basically helped his dad win Gen Z.
That's right.
His father has said that over. What has David Hogg done? Mm-hmm. Why would he belong in this position? Has he ever worked for a candidate and helped them win? It's a lunacy to put somebody in like that that's that young, that has never helped a candidate get elected. I don't understand it, but hey, go for it. I know Lara Trump's head of the RNC, but she had a partner who had my experience, and she's a lot older. She's been in politics for 8 years.
And she knows everybody.
She helped Trump the first time. So she knows it's a different situation.
And,
she helped Trump win.
Just to give you an example of how stupid the Democrats are right now, okay? They made a big deal on Friday that Mayor Pete took his pronouns off his X profile. And he's planning on running for the Senate seat in Michigan. All of a sudden, he's from Michigan, right? All of a sudden. But
how did that happen?
I guess he moved to Michigan with his husband.
That's a blue state, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Trump won Michigan.
And that's Whitmer State.
Yeah, Whitmer, but Trump won Michigan. So
maybe they're planning on running together down the road.
I don't know, but
you know what I mean?
No,
maybe that's why that he chose Michigan. Maybe she and him are planning something.
Well, regardless, Mayor Pete is a pivot isn't taking your preferred pronouns off your X profile. That's just stupid. You know, you're still a radical lunatic, and with this god awful plane crash, we're finding out that he was obsessed with this idea that bridges in New York were racist. Meanwhile, for years, they have been racially discriminating against qualified white applicants to be air traffic controllers and hiring incompetent people because of the check marks. Now they got an airplane full of civilians killed, a military aircraft with 3 soldiers on it killed, and he's going to run for the Senate, and he thinks he's done some big pivot because he took his preferred pronouns off his X profile. These Democrats, they don't understand what country they're in. No. They have no idea. No,
they just can't help themselves. They really can't.
It's really funny, isn't it? I mean, when you think about it, Kathy, it's when I heard this thing about him taking his pronouns off,
they would rather look ridiculous than agree with Trump.
That's right.
They would just rather look stupid, ridiculous, and radical than say Trump's doing a good job. Now, Fetterman, you know, he says it, but go by his voting record. He didn't vote for any. Did he vote for any Trump guy? He didn't vote for Hegseth. No. I know that. So don't be fooled by people. You have to go by what they do. And they might come out and say, oh, I agree. But if they don't do things or take action that agrees with that agenda, then it means nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I want to tell you guys about Dr. Philip Appleton. His laser wave pain treatment, it works. You know, the thing about Dr. Appleton, okay, he's many years of experience. He's had thousands of patients. He really knows the what is causing your pain. He has examined me these 7 times I've gone in. He gives me a full examination. He's able to determine where in my body is injured, where the pain is coming from, and that's what he treats. And that laser treatment repairs the damage that's causing the pain. You know, it's 100% painless. You can't even feel it. There's no sensation, no feeling, nothing. Not only is it painless, you don't even feel it. And it works. There's no shots, no injections. Appointments are not necessary, and walk-ins are welcome with Dr. Appleton, even on Saturdays. Give him a call and say bye-bye to your pain, like I've done 7 times. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com.
Experience the mystery, elegance, and soothing power of Dark Night Candles. Only at CandlesByRoss.com. Handcrafted with care by Ross, the creator of the Dark Night Candle line. These luxurious candles are designed to ease anxiety, relieve stress, and bring a serene glow to your home. Each flame represents resilience, strength, and quiet sophistication. Infused with deep, evocative fragrances, Dark Night Candles are eco-friendly and handmade with care in the charming village of Grays Lake, Illinois. They're perfect for those who love modern luxury with a touch of mystique. Right now, enjoy free shipping and an exclusive buy 2, get 1 free offer. No code needed. Shop the entire Dark Night Candle collection today at CandlesByRoss.com. Let their glow bring warmth and serenity to your space. The Dark Night Candle collection, where modern craftsmanship meets legendary spirit. Order now at CandlesByRoss.com.
My name is Dr. Philip Appleton. I'm a chiropractic physician. Over the years, I've treated thousands and thousands of patients from bursitis, tendonitis, sciatica, stenosis, neuropathy, tears, post-surgery, pre-surgery, herniated disc, gout, bone on bone. If you can name the pain, most likely I've treated over the years. Most of my practice is laser with robotic lasers. They're robots which rotates constantly around the area, where most lasers do not do that. So if you want to come in for a free consultation, as always here, welcome at Appleton Chiropractic. I'm here 6 days a week. I personally do all the treatment. You can bring your MRIs, you can bring your x-rays, you can bring your CAT scans, whatever you have to bring for me to look at, I would do that free of charge.
Call Dr. Appleton right now for that free consultation. information, 954-973-0710, 954-973-0710, and online, AppletonChiro.com. Have you been chasing financial freedom your whole life, but still find yourself living paycheck to paycheck? You're not alone. But ask yourself this: what if wealth wasn't just about money, but about faith, purpose, and lasting success? Author Mario R. Andre unveils the path to true financial independence in his book, Faith and Money Relations, available on Amazon. Faith and Money Relations is a blueprint for building wealth through faith and smart strategies. With this book, you'll learn how to convert your income into portfolio and passive earnings. Discover how to manage debt, grow multiple income streams, and create a life where money serves you, not the other way around. Author Mario R. Andre's approach is grounded in faith and designed to help you break free from corporate constraints and build wealth that stands the test of time. Are you ready to unlock your potential? Then order your copy of this must-read and life-changing book, Faith and Money Relations, from author Mario R. Andre. Available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, so Caroline Levitt on Friday, she said they've gotten 10,000 applications from alt media, people like me, for press credentials. You see that? 10,000. So, I check my email and spam folder all the time. Nothing's come through yet, but I did put in a request. But she went to this guy today. I don't remember who he is. I could look him up, but I'm not, because I don't want to get into it. But he asked a dumb question. He asked a dumb question that made him look like an amateur. He said, what was it he said exactly, Kathy? He said something about the press. He said, is the press bias? And then she went into an answer about it, which was fine. Why would he go there and ask such an amateur question? I don't get it. He makes all of us in the alt media look like amateurs. When you go there and you get called upon, you've got to have a good question. So here's the thing, okay? This new thing that Caroline Levitt is doing of letting podcasters and influencers and regular people into the press briefing thing, this is something we've wanted for years, okay? And so much of what the new media is about, although I've been doing this so long, I'm kind of old, but I've been in the new media before there was such a thing as the new media. I'm like, I guess I'm one of the founders of the new media, Kathy. I've been doing it so long. But those of us that are in the alt media, the conservative media, the new media, we spend a lot of our time, rightly so, calling out the hypocrisies, stupidities, et cetera, of the legacy media, right? When you have an opportunity, when you are invited to go to the White House press briefing, because I don't know if I'll ever get the call. I mean, I never heard of this guy that went today, but I know Alex Jones is going, and Cat Turd on X has talked about that he's put in his request. I imagine he'll get to go at some point. When you go there, you want to ask a question. It doesn't have to be the same kind of question you would get from Fox or something, but you want to ask a question that sounds like you're a professional person, right? Not an amateur. When you go, when you go, the media hate us, the legacy media, but you want to go there and make the new media proud and look credible by asking a serious question. And this guy asking is the media bias? And then I saw his face. He was sitting there like he did something, like he called these people out. They didn't even hear what he said, and he looked like. So if any of you are listening that are in the new media and you get an opportunity to go there at the White House, or if it's a press briefing at Mar-a-Lago, ask a serious question about what is going on now in the news. Try to think outside the box. Don't ask a boring question and waste the question, but don't ask a stupid question either. If we want to get that final bit of putting the legacy media out of business, the new media have to infiltrate our way into mainstream stuff. We want to have people that are at not just the White House briefings, but the State Department briefings, the Pentagon briefings, all these press conferences. When there's a major news story like this plane crash, okay, and there's a press conference for the plane crash, we want the new media to be able to go at any time to a news-breaking event in the country like that and be able to ask questions. We want to be able to go to California where the fires are happening and be able to go out there and report from where the fire damage is, right? Like, you understand what I mean? And if you go and make a fool out of yourself and ask a stupid question and look like an amateur in the White House press briefing, we're never going to get up to that next level that we want to be in with the press. So I was really just this guy that from this podcast today, I was really annoyed because when someone goes there and acts stupid, it's a reflection on all of us.
Well, they tried this the first time. I don't think it's going to last.
Spicer?
I don't think it's going to last because
of this kind of thing today.
It brings down even the White House when you have these people that are amateurs, and I'm not talking about you, but
I hope
they had 10,000 applicants. I never heard of this guy they brought in. And I don't, whatever. I mean, I don't care who it is, but
no, it could be anybody.
But you're dealing with people that are not professional.
Not this guy.
They have their own agenda. They have their own agenda instead of asking a question that the people care about. He just thought, and you're right, they don't care what this guy thinks. He's like a bug to them. I mean, he's nothing. And she's letting in one person from her 10,000 to come in at a given time. And hey, if they call you to go, of course you're going to go.
I'll be there.
And ask a great question. But I just don't know how, let's see if they're going to fly all these people in every week to just ask a question. Well, I mean, that kind of seems weird.
Yeah. Like as an example, if in this particular press conference that she did, right? Because there were some questions about the plane crash. I would have, and when I heard this idiot, I told you what I would have asked, right? But just off the top of this may not be what I would have asked, but off the top of my head, this is what I thought. Because I want to look, if I'm going to the White House press briefing, I want to look like a credible person and ask a credible question. I would have asked a question like this, okay? The president said this week that because of the DEI hires in the with the air traffic controllers and the airline industry and such, that unqualified people have been hired. It's made the skies dangerous. Has the president thought of immediately firing all DEI hires and do a mass hiring and search for qualified applicants? And ask her, is he going to fire these DEI people because they're unsafe air traffic controllers? I would have asked a question about that. And no, that's a relevant question of what's going on in the news, and no one's asked it. And that's one that's serious. Okay, now we got rid of another fake news Trump hater today. Chuck Todd quit NBC News. His contract was about to lapse, and I guess he figured it wasn't going to get renewed. So he quit right before his contract lapsed. And that's two Trump haters this week, because Acosta quit CNN this week. And, I'm not sure if we talked about Acosta on the podcast the other day, but this is what Chuck Todd and Jim Acosta don't understand. They have nowhere to go. No one's interested in hearing what they have to say. And I really think, Kathy, that Acosta and Chuck Todd think that they can start a podcast or a YouTube channel or something like Tucker has or Megyn Kelly and be big. Right? Look no further than Don Lemon, who's been a complete failure. Okay? The reason people like Tucker and Megyn Kelly leave these networks or these cable outlets and have maybe even bigger successes in some ways, because they're still making a lot of money, is because they have credibility. People want to hear what they have to say and report. Chuck Todd and Jim Acosta, no one wants to hear what they have to say, and they're the textbook examples of fake news. It's comical.
Well, Don is trying to get a job at News Nation, and I read that in the Inquirer, which I get every week, that Chris Cuomo is making sure that does not happen. I don't think it's a good idea for anybody to hire that guy. He seems like a poisoned, angry, bitter person who nobody likes to work with. Same with Acosta. they're getting rid of all the people. I think what they're doing at CNN, and Don Lemon was the first one, I think they're getting rid of all the people that have a bad attitude that nobody likes. And they're hoping that that helps morale. And maybe that helps things, but they're not going to be helped as long as, they blamed Trump for the plane crash yesterday. These people are lunatics.
Yeah, no, exactly. So these people like Chuck Todd and Jim Acosta, I think, are going to have a very, very shocking awakening that they can't get something off the ground. They may think that they're going to start some enterprise like, I don't know who has, but people don't. The consumers of news, that's you guys, are not interested. That's why they're all off the air and failing. And the only reason that these outlets are being held up is because Trump haters are funding them. And if you remember, after Trump won re-election here, all these liberal influencers started losing followers and subscribers on all these platforms and views. It's because they were artificially being inflated by Democrat Trump-hating donors, were artificially inflating their views and subcounts and stuff. And as soon as Trump won, they got cut off. And their subs and views were not real. And Chuck Todd and Jim Acosta, bye-bye. No one is going to miss either of those guys. And, this period that we're in right now is absolutely amazing. I will say this though, and I don't think this is at all a slight exaggeration. Trump has done more in the last, 10 days or so that he's been president than most presidents do in 4 years. And when he had this press conference about the DEI and this airline crash, you notice the media kind of have dropped that airline crash quite a bit. They really have. There's something really up about this. There's a new video you were showing me today, Kath. I know you guys have probably seen it. Another angle of the helicopter. That helicopter was going straight at that plane. I don't see any way that could have been an accident by that helicopter. I really, really don't. And there's something that we don't know yet that I believe the press know that they're sitting on and not reporting. Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, and Sean Duffy were just too adamant about the DEI in connection to this airline crash. They were focused on it so much in that press conference. There has to be something. Well, listen, guys, we are going to say goodbye for today. We will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in.